At home, Republican candidates continue to hit the campaign trail. For President Donald Trump in Vegas yesterday, his first trip to Nevada, which is considered a battleground state in many parts. Mr. Trump continues to lead in the polls on the GOP side of the campaign. Closest opponent, Florida Governor Ron DeSantis, is now 40 points behind Trump in the latest Fox News poll. I want to bring in our political panel this Sunday morning. Charles Wilson is the D.C. Democratic Party chairman, and Caleb Max is a Republican strategist and former congressional candidate in Virginia. Caleb, Charles, good to see you both here at the desk. You know, real quick before we move on, Janet Yellen there in Beijing. We just had the Secretary of State, Anthony Blinken, in China. Do you see this as some charm offensive going on with China? What's up here? Because the relations probably haven't been bad as they are right now for a very long time.
Yeah, well, I actually run a nonprofit that does a lot of anti-CCP work, and we advocate for the persecuted. And I think the Biden administration is really struggling to find, where they're going to stand, on how to combat China as they have become such an evil force around the world. And with Russia and the war in Ukraine, I think there's just a lot going on there. And I don't think they've found their footing on where they're going to land policy-wise.
Charles, do you see this as like a carrot and stick thing? We've given you the stick for a while, but here, a reminder of what the carrot looks like?
Yeah, I think, we have to remind ourselves, politics, there's no permanent friends, there's no permanent enemies, there's always permanent interest. And, I think it's important for the administration to strengthen try to mend its relationship with China. And I'm sure China will want the same thing, because I think there's dual interest there that can help both countries.
We are coming up this weekend and close to 1 year before the presidential national conventions next summer. But, here a year out, we got a pretty good look at this race on both sides. The Republican field seems to be growing, and this is not a joke. Almost every week we're getting a new candidate in there. But, on the Democratic side, we have had these alternate candidates pop up. Let's talk about the Republican side first. Caleb, what do you make of all these Republicans getting in the race, and especially what do we make of how Ron DeSantis in this latest Fox News poll appears to be tanking right now when he was supposed to be the big threat to Donald Trump?
Well, I think it shows that, a lot of these Republicans that are getting in the race understand that the American people are frustrated with how the Biden administration and Joe Biden is leading the nation. And so they want to throw their hat in and try their hand. But I really think that this race is really a two-way race between Ron DeSantis and Donald Trump. Right now, it feels a lot like a one-way race because Donald Trump, has just dominated the polls and dominated the media. So, if Ron DeSantis doesn't find his footing quickly and really start presenting a message of, this is who Donald Trump is, but this is the kind of president I would be, and start really showing those differences, I think Donald Trump might run away with this thing.
But, Charles, as a Democrat, when you look at the Republican side, obviously if they're running, they consider themselves to be an alternative to Trump. Few of them seem really to have it in the gut to want to take him on directly. Chris Christie has not had that problem because he has been almost summarily every time he gets in front of a camera goes after Trump. What do you make of this? And do they have the ability on the Republican side to change gears at this point? Because before we know what February is going to be here and these primaries and caucuses are going to be in effect.
Yeah, I think Donald Trump is a problem for the Republican Party. He knows how to control the microphone, control the media, and to suck air out of anybody else's campaign. And it's going to be very difficult for these candidates to be able to take the spotlight away from him. Remember, he was the guy who had all these TV shows and engaged the American public.
Democrats don't get off the hook on this either, though, because at the very same time where the president, is now, months into his announcement that he's running again, we do have these alternate pop-up candidates coming into the race. You've got Robert F. Kennedy Jr., Marianne Williamson as well, too. But besides them, we've heard this undertow of what we'd call an enthusiasm gap among young progressive Democrats when it comes to Joe Biden's candidacy. Is that a problem? And is it only solved if Donald Trump becomes the Republican nominee?
Well, I think it's something that the Democrats have to pay attention to. It's the same whispers that I've heard, but I think what's going to be important is that when President Biden gets up there and accepts the nomination, he's going to have to articulate how he has tried to deliver for young people across the country. And how everyone's working, how inflation is coming down, and how he's trying to make the American dream possible for every American in the country.
Caleb, it seems to be the reverse on the Republican side, that the Trump campaign, which has been out front, since the day he announced, has very strong numbers among young Republicans.
Yeah, they do. I mean, Donald Trump, one of the things that he is good at is coining these, phrases and terms. He talks a lot about the future and what he's going to do, and he speaks to a demographic of people that really understand, his language around just simple ideas.
But why is that? Why would a young Democrat look at Joe Biden and say, well, maybe he's too old, but a young Republican looks at Donald Trump and says, that's my guy?
Donald Trump has the remarkable ability to be just kind of very in the culture. Like last night I saw him, he was, doing Twitter and Instagram with all these YouTube stars. And Donald Trump, one, he always finds the camera, but he knows how to kind of capture the minds of the youth on these social media channels and say funny things. And I think that's why they like him.
Yeah, but he didn't know what a blizzard was over at Dairy Queen. That's going to hurt you.
That was
the Supreme Court obviously has handed down some momentous decisions in the last couple of weeks. How big of a campaign subject do you think that's going to be at this point right now, Charles, moving forward?
Right now, I think it's going to be big, but I think it reminds people that elections have consequences because people wanted to focus on Hillary's emails years ago. Donald Trump was able to appoint 3 Supreme Court justices. And so I think people are going to pay attention to that now.
Cable, obviously, this has been pleasing to a lot of conservatives, but is there a sense or concern there that they might view that as the work had been done?
No, I think there's obviously the Supreme Court. Most of the rulings this week were frankly just constitutional decisions that should have happened a long time ago. But going back to Donald Trump, this really helps him boost his record to say, look, if it hadn't been for me, you guys wouldn't have had these justices and we wouldn't have had these rulings. So I think that makes it tough for the rest of the field. All
right, Caleb, Charles, we thank you so much for joining us live this Sunday morning. Good to talk to you, and we'll continue this conversation as time goes on. As we continue here live this Sunday morning, coming up, disinformation and biased news reports. They have flooded all of our inboxes. We're going to talk with the founder of a group focused on defining media bias. Plus, a little later on in this program, D.C. Council member Brooke Pinto will be joining us live, talk about the gun violence in the district. Fox 5's On the Hill continues live right after this.